This is the third video on tags and labels. The first two were about creating the layout for the tags and then creating content for tags. This one will go over how to successfully print tags from XOLights. Now, ironically, the first step is actually not in XOLights, but it is preparing your browser to correctly print the tags, because browsers have built-in margin settings and those will try and override the settings that you have in XOLights. So I'm going to go over the three most common browsers and show you how to make sure that they do not interfere with your tags margins. The other browsers will probably be very similar. If you're having trouble figuring it out, you can contact us at clientservices@xolights.com. But the ones we're going to go over right now are Firefox, Internet Explorer, and Google Chrome. So let's start. We'll go ahead and start with Firefox. I'm going to go ahead and open up a Firefox window, and the first thing I'm going to do to make sure that Firefox does not interfere with my tags is change the page setup. So to do that, I'm going to go up here to File, and then you just see it right here as Page Setup. When I click that, I get this box here, and there are a couple of things that I'm going to want to do. First of all, I do not want Shrink to Fit Page Width checked. Okay. If you are printing red lines on your tag for the pricing, you will need Print Background and Colors and Images checked. And then also make sure you set portrait or landscape appropriately depending on how you have your tag set up. Then over here in margins and headers, you'll want to go in and set your margins to the smallest it will let you. So I'm going to go ahead and just set these to 0, and it may or may not let you stay at 0. If not, it'll put it at the lowest it will let you stay, and that's fine. And then these headers and footers actually do take up space, and they also kind of junk up the page with a lot of information at the top and the bottom that you're really not going to use. So let's go ahead and set these to blank so they don't interfere with the margins at all. And once we've done that, we'll go ahead and click OK. Now the great thing about that is it usually remembers your settings, unless you have deleted and re-added Firefox or completely cleared your cache and cookies and all of that. It should keep those settings in there for you. The only one that I've heard people sometimes having to go back and double check on is portrait versus landscape, and that may depend on your version of Firefox and individual computer. So that's all you really have to do for Firefox. Internet Explorer is actually very similar. Depending on which version you have of Internet Explorer, you'll either have a file drop down over on this side, or you'll have this little gear here. If you have the gear, you click here and you select print and you'll see page setup. It's very similar if you have the file drop down just on the other side. And so we're going to select page setup here. And I actually already have this one set up, because you can see this is really just the same thing that we did in Firefox, where we have the print background and colors and images selected, enable shrink to fit not checked, margin set as low as you can. These ones I had set to 0. It's bumped it up a little bit because it does leave a little bit sometimes, and that's fine as long as it's as small as I can get it. Headers and footers are set to empty. However your tags are set up, you'll have portrait or landscape checked. Then after that, you just click OK, and just like Firefox, it does remember your settings. The only one, again, that sometimes you need to double check on is portrait versus landscape printing. Now Chrome is a little bit different. Chrome, you will actually change your print settings while printing. So we're going to actually go through the print process here in Chrome so I can show you that. Now I've selected one of my practice tags that I've put together at an earlier date, and I'm going to go ahead and just select print here. Now there's a couple of things. First of all, you'll want to set your account pricing. Typically you'll want that to be walk-ins because that's going to be your in-store pricing, and that's typically the pricing that you're going to want to appear on your tags. However, you can select any account, whether you want your web pricing or one of your contractors or designers, if you wanted their pricing to show instead of your in-store pricing. Beyond that, you just need to start selecting what you want to print. So you can pick a brand, you can print by category. Probably the two most common ways that we have people print is by attribute or by item number. Now with the item numbers, basically you're just typing in specific item numbers separated by a comma. So if you have 5 maxim items you want in there, you type in the first number, comma, space, second number, comma, space, and so on. And then you can put in as many as you need, but if you're going to do a large number, a lot of times the attributes are going to be a lot easier to work with. Now, basically with the attributes, and if you're not familiar with the attributes, I recommend you watch the attributes training video. And that basically will show you how to upload a list of specific items into an attribute, is what we call them. Basically, it groups them together. And then I've got a couple in here. You can see we've added a few items in, and you can select the attribute that you have loaded. Now in this particular attribute I have 4 items, and you can see that down here, 4 items on one page. Everything that I have loaded up there, and like I said, a lot of times people are just doing that in a spreadsheet to get them all at once. Now I can hit print preview to see those actual items, and you can see I have my tags here. It's filled in the correct image, the correct item numbers here. Whichever fields you have put on your tags will fill in correctly. Now I'm going to actually put a border on these, so I'm going to hit solid border, hit print preview again. And here you can see now they have a solid border. You could do it with a dashed as well. Whether or not you want the border probably depends on what you're printing on. For example, if you're doing the Avery tags, you probably don't want them. Whereas if you're just going to print on paper or cardstock, a lot of times it's helpful to have them. Now once this page has loaded, and you do want to wait for it to finish loading, you can go ahead and click print. What screen you see does depend a little bit on which browser you're in. Right now I am in Chrome. Typically the default settings are going to be like this. And you can see I've got kind of gunk at the top of the page and the bottom, and it's going to put some margins in which may or may not play with the margins that you have set. So that doesn't work very well for the tags. What you do want to do is go over here and select none. Make sure you have it set correctly on portrait or landscape depending on the style of your particular tags. Just hit print when you're happy with how it looks, and you can kind of see how it's going to end up. And that will go ahead and send it to the printer and finish the process. Now there's one other little thing here that I want to talk to you about, and that's this all or recent changes. This works particularly well with the attributes, but basically what it does is it looks at the settings that you've got while you're printing. And the first time you print, it will print everything that matches those settings. The second time, you have the option of setting it to recent changes. Now, you can see this went from 0 items on 0 pages because I just basically went through the print process with this attribute, and nothing has changed since the last time I did that. Let's say that you print tags at one point, and then 6 months down the road you come to print tags again, and you only want to print things where the pricing has changed, or maybe you've added it to that attribute, or something along those lines. In that case, when you hit recent changes, it's only going to print things that have been added to that attribute since the last time you printed, or that has had a price change, or the catalog information has changed significantly. So that's one reason that people like to use attributes, because it is a quick and easy way to deal with updates to items. And notice I have the printing modified item since, and then it shows the time when I initially did the change. This is helpful when you are coming back 6 months down the road and you want to know when the last time you printed the tags were. You can see the last time it saved the settings that you were printing under. So that in essence is printing tags and labels in XOLights. If you have further questions, you can contact client services at clientservices@xolights.com, or refer to other materials on the site. And as always, thanks for watching and have a great day.